So, breaking news, reports are coming out of Brazil to say that Forest have agreed a deal for Igor Jesus, the striker. Welcome to your transfer news. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to your latest Forest transfer news. And boy, is there some news to get our teeth into. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new to Forest Fan TV. And if you want to support us over on Patreon with some exclusive content, make sure you go scan that QR code or click on the link pinned in the comments. Alrighty then, let's get into this. Finally, some semi-exciting news on a player that we'll talk about in just a second. So, reports are breaking out all over the place on Brazil. Shout out to the guys helping me at this late hour as well. So, make sure you've hit the like because it is late right now while we're recording. Now, the reports are that Botafogo have agreed a deal with Forest. There's still some little bits and bobs that need to be kind of ironed out. But in essence, a 20 million euro fee has been agreed, which will be paid pretty much up front. And on top of that, the player won't be released until Botafogo have finished in the Club World Cup. So sometime towards the end of June. And it seems that the deal in essence is all agreed, all fine, etc. Right? So that's one thing. Now, the kicker to this is that the deal with the player, he's still contemplating what he wants to do. And this is definitely an alarm bell, and I'll explain why. So let me run you through some of the Brazilian reports here. So Igor Jesus' representatives have confirmed that progress of a negotiation between Botafogo and Forest, and has said the player is thinking about what the best path is for him currently. It's expected to be 20 million euros, which is around 128 million in Brazilian money. The agreement foresees that the striker will report to Forest after the Club World Cup, and the payment method is almost in full up front, with a small part being kind of paid over installments. Now, before I talk about the player, let me talk to you about the backstory as well. Both Forest and Arsenal have been after this striker for quite a while. In fact, Forest got close to this in January. I'll leave the old video on from January so you can have a look at it. But when we brought that to you, Forest had put a bid for in and around 26 mil for Igor Jesus, which got accepted at the time. However, he rejected the move to Forest back then because he thought for his progression, if I remember rightly, and his advancement currently of his career, that staying at Botafogo was his best option to progress. Things are starting to move on now. Now, as I mentioned, Arsenal are also tracking him, but tracking him as probably a secondary striker to who they bring in. But then again, Forest have more pull than Arsenal in it hooks. So that's the backstory to it. Now, his keenness to join Forest seems to be quite low. That's my only thing with this, because this is now, we're talking 5-6 months of Forest wanting to chase him, if not longer actually, before the January period as well. So that's something to bear in mind. But what is he like as a player? This is a guy who I don't think has yet reached his full potential, and sometimes can be overhyped to be better than he is. But his raw essence and his raw kind of ability as a striker is actually there, and you could see him developing. I don't think he's one that potentially hits the ground running. And this is why I wasn't so against it in January. I think bringing him in January would have been the smart move, obviously, though he didn't want to do it, because he would have then had 6 months plus a pre-season to get used to it and then try to overtake Chris Wood, etc. In that period. Whereas I still think he needs a bit of development. And he's not like a Danilo that we're picking up in his like late teens or early 20s or something. He's now, I think he's 24 years old. So you would have expected, and there's always that rule with Brazilian footballers that if they get past 2021, it's almost like they're past their sell-by date, and why haven't they moved into Europe? Now, it sounds like I'm downplaying him. I'm not. Because where he excels is in his strength on the ball, in his passing ability. His finishing is good, but for me, he can go through some dry patches where he won't score a goal for, a couple or a few games. But once his confidence is up, he can find the back of the net. But where he is excellent for me is in the counter attack. So when you counter attack in the transition, he has pace. And that's the difference for me between him and Wood. Obviously height as well. I think he's about 5'9", so he's not the tallest of strikers, but is decent in the air as well. So for me, he has a lot of potential. And if the deal is right at 20 million euros, you're looking at what, 16, 17 million pounds. It's not going to break the bank for us because our owner's a billionaire. So there is a lot, but there is a bit of risk. So am I excited about this one? Yes, I would have preferred it in January. My red flags for this are he does go through dry patches. His goal scoring record currently at Botafogo isn't exemplary. I think, let me have a look here. He's played 30 games and scored 8 goals. However, he has been playing for Brazil as well. He's played 4 games for Brazil and scored a goal. Now, before he was at Botafogo, he was at Shabab El Ahly in the Emirates. He played there for about 4 years, 66 games, 34 goals. So he was banging them in quite easily there. But obviously, that's even a lesser of a league in comparison to South America. So look, I'm not against this one. This isn't our marquee signing. Let's put it like that. But it's good to see that things are being addressed. His profile for me will suit what we need in terms of that heir to the throne to Chris Wood. And where Chris Wood has his strengths for me in terms of his conversion rate, for example, Igor Jesus still needs to kind of build up towards that because I don't personally think he's got that. And we're talking about that transition into the Premier League. Now, this one stinks to high heaven, in a nice way, of Edu. Because as I said to you, Arsenal have been interested in him since Edu's time there. They're still interested in him now. But Edu is very keen on him. So clearly Edu's seen something in him that he likes. He's convinced Marinakis or whoever in the recruitment team that he needed to. And this is one that he wants to definitely get over the line. Now, there's no reports to suggest that. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together and quite comfortably making 4. But the breaking news on this is the reports coming out from Brazil now are that a deal has been reached. 20 million euros is the fee, most of that up front. Slight breakdown of the secondary payment of that as well. But it's now up to Igor Jesus to make that decision. He rejected us in January. Will he have changed his mind now? And if he hasn't, what the hell's he waiting for, man? Let's get it done. So for me, let's get it done. This could be an interesting one. I did say on Grumpy Old Reds last night or earlier on that Forest will definitely sign a Brazilian. And then look at this, 2 hours later, it's nearly a here we go. So get your thoughts in down below, especially those Brazilian ones out there who are watching him week in, week out. Let me know your thoughts on him. Have I profiled him correctly? Do you agree with what I said? And do you see that potential within him? Let me know in the comments. All right, if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you are new. We'll keep the news coming to you as soon as it breaks. So make sure you have your alerts on. And go check out the video from January if you want to refresh your memory. I'll leave it on the end screen. On you Reds.